All right, Jesse on fire. Welcome back to the channel. All right, I got a great video for you here. So here's the deal. If you like the content, subscribe or ring the bell. Let me ask you for something before I give you anything. Okay, so here's the deal. So yesterday I did a video about Conor and Khabib and the rematch. So my hypothesis being that Khabib is going to rematch Conor for his 30th fight. Okay, so normally I don't do like follow-up videos to videos that I already did. However, I got a response from Mixed Molly about that video, and he had incredible insight, as usual, right? And for context, anybody who doesn't know who Mixed Molly is, which is probably not a very large group of you, Mixed Molly has the best YouTube channel on YouTube, okay? I mean, I will throw that down without even any context on genre or anything. I think his channel is the best one on YouTube, at least for me. I mean, obviously, you know, it's all MMA content, and I'm a pretty big MMA fan, but I don't think anyone makes content as solid as his. And he's a fascinating guy, man. Like, no, you know, so I'm gonna read what he said to me, okay, without his permission, but he knows I have more respect for this guy than anybody on earth. And also, honestly, I think his opinion is incredibly valid. And in the, in this particular case, I might back off a little bit on my initial. Not back off. I need to nuance it because I think he is right about what he says. And I'll get into exactly what he said, and I'll tell you what the nuance is around it, okay? So, first of all, no one has done more research on Khabib than Mixed Molly Whoppery. No one, okay? No one. That's just a fact. He did Foundry of Champions. He did the entire series on Khabib and Dagestan. Like, and I did a podcast called The Accent. Really sharp guy. You guys should definitely go check out the Accent podcast. I've talked about it here. But he's from Eastern Europe as well. And he told me that he spoke to people from that area in Dagestan, and that the level of detail that Mixed Molly went into in those videos, I mean, there were so many opportunities for him to say something that was incorrect. It's unbelievable. He talked about the tribes. He talked about their languages. He talked about the history. He talked about the wars. He talked about all this stuff that was not just related to like Khabib's career. It was really about like the culture in that area and the format, you know, the kind of the way that he told the story was this very deep, thick basis of the bottom of the pyramid of this story, which was all about Dagestan in that area. And apparently it was all 100% correct. Like, he made no mistakes. No mistakes. He's an American, you know. I can say pretty confidently he's probably done more research on Khabib and maybe even on Dagestan than any American ever has. You know, that's not like in the CIA or something. Anyway, bottom line, doesn't matter. No MMA person has done as much research as he has. So when he comments on what he thinks Khabib's reaction is going to be, especially given that he is one of the most insightful people I've ever met as it relates to people and humanity. That's why he loves this sport, same as me. The humanity that exists in mixed martial arts and the UFC, etc. This is about as credible an opinion as you're ever going to get, okay? So I'm going to read it to you, but first I want to just lay out the context again, all right? So what I said was that decisions that people make will land into one of a couple buckets, right? Primarily, they land in principles, logic, or passion, okay? Like every decision or every statement that a person makes, every decision that a person makes, whether you adhere to something you said you wouldn't do, is going to be in principles, logic, passion, okay? And so as an example of a principled decision that you would never break, or a statement you would never, it's like anything relating to him adhering to his faith or anything about his family, etc. Those are principles, man. He's not going to break those. Logic is like, well, I thought about it and I decide logically I don't think I should do that. And that's something where you can talk to them and show them a new way of thinking about it, and maybe they go and they do it, right? Then there's passion, right? And that's what I'm saying that I'm not going to fight Conor lives in. Or that's what I said. That was my hypothesis, was that lives in passion, where he's like, I hate that guy. Okay? What is hate? What is hate? It's a passion, right? You like, I hate that guy. I hate that guy, thus I'm not going to fight him again. Okay? I already beat him, and so I'm not going to fight him again because I hate him. That's passion, okay? That's not principles, and that's not logic, right? That lives in passion. At least the way I was talking about it and thinking about it, which means he's movable on it, right? It's movable. It's a statement of passion. That's not immovable like principles, right? So that was the context, because what I'm saying is that Dana knows that Conor versus Khabib in the rematch, that is the biggest pay-per-view in combat sports history. I'm telling you that at this point, in the level of maturity that the UFC has, it pisses Dana off that the biggest pay-per-views ever are all boxing. I promise you that. I promise you that a goal of his, a huge goal of his, is to make the biggest pay-per-view event in combat sports history a UFC event. I guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it. You know, these guys, like Dana will say, Dana does. Dana loves Khabib. Dana loves Conor. He's one of the most appreciative and grateful guys there is as it relates to the people who have helped him build the company. But he loves the company more than he loves anything else. That is his baby. Like, it's when you build a company, people go, oh, that's my baby. Like, and this is something I really know about. It is like a family member. It's a kid of yours, a baby. Where if you lost it, I really can tell you, if you lose it, it is soul crushing on a level you can't even fathom. Like, you just can't even fathom it. And for Dana, having the biggest combat sports pay-per-view, I promise you, is incredibly important to him. And that the only option he has for that right now is Conor versus Khabib Part 2. He's not going to let that opportunity go without trying to get it. All right. So you know that this fight, if Conor beats Dustin, is going to get put in front of Khabib. I don't care. Even if they book the GSP fight first, the Conor fight is going to get put in front of Khabib no matter what. Without a doubt, that's going to happen. And then it's going to be up to Khabib whether he takes the fight or not. Okay. So that's the context, right? So this is what Mixed Molly said. Okay. So this is so smart, man. Okay, so this is what he said. Great video. This is pretty interesting, actually. I've been thinking about it, too. I agree it's either Conor or GSP, but I think it's hard to tell which is more likely. It's very interesting in the way you framed it in terms of principles. I think it would take a lot for Khabib to fight McGregor for that reason. When I see Khabib dismiss Conor, to me it seems to be something that he is almost completely unwilling to do. Khabib is going into the rematch knowing full well that Conor is going to shit on his country, shit on his religion, shit on his teammates. And I almost get the sense that he doesn't want to give Conor the biggest platform in history to do just that. The sense that I've got from Khabib is that it is a moral issue in terms of dragging Dagestan and Islam into another disrespectful shit show. He specifically said he doesn't want to give Conor the platform from The Ultimate Fighter. That's what the $5 billion quote was about, giving Conor the attention from the show. In a weird way, I think this is a principled stance for him. Again, he's so fucking smart, man. He's so fucking smart. He's right. He's right. It is a principled stance. When you think about it that way, if he is in control, he's already beat Conor. He doesn't need to fight him, right? And so if fighting him is going to mean another public shit show where someone's going to be shitting on Dagestan, shitting on his religion, shitting on his teammates, shitting on his family, that's principles. He's not going to allow someone to do that. So he's right. He's right. Here's the thing, though. Okay? Here's the thing. So for it to be a principled decision, that means that Conor needs to think that Conor's going to shit on his religion and his home and everything else, right? Like, that's the point, is to not allow someone, give someone a big bright shining light to throw a bunch of negativity at everything that's important to him, right? So what happens if Conor's definitely not going to do that? What if he knew for sure that Conor was going to be super respectful in the buildup, and it's going to be completely different this time, where it's going to be just like the buildup for the Gaethje fight, just like the buildup for Dustin, and Conor will play it like that. What about that? Then is it principles? If he knew for sure? No, it's not. Then it's still passion. Do you want to hold on to that hate? Do you want to hold on to that passion? Or do you want to go take part in the biggest event in combat sports history as your swan song? The biggest event in the history of the sport is your swan song against the biggest star in the sport. You two are the two biggest stars. You've already beat him. He's clearly made improvements, and he thinks he can take you. And I mean, then the decision is different, right? And the only way that that's going to happen, this is how I think that's going to play out. Okay, so this is how I think that's going to play out. Ali Abdelaziz, he wants to make this fight just as much as Dana. Well, maybe not just as much as Dana. Actually, that's not true. Not as much as Dana, but he wants to make the fight bad, right? And Ali Abdelaziz, let me just say this real quick. He's a good dude, man. He's a really good dude. I have a feeling that, I know a lot of people who are Conor fans watch my channel. And I think that I'm in this incredibly unique situation, being that I love both these. I love both these guys. Like, I'm not going to root. If either of them fights anyone else, I will root for them. I won't root for anyone else against either of them. And against each other, I'm just going to go in and just watch. I can't root for either of them. I love them both. Honestly, I'll be happy for whoever wins. I'll be sad for whoever loses, Although I would be more sad for Khabib if he lost than I would be for Conor. I think that's more due to circumstance and understanding what's important to them, than because of anything else. As a matter of fact, that is why. Because Khabib, it's about legacy, and losing to Conor, that breaks his what he's after in the sport. And with Conor, he wanted to be the double champ, which he already did, and he wanted to have more money than he knew what to do with, and he already has it, right? Like, Conor's already accomplished everything that he wanted to do. A loss to Khabib, it doesn't make any difference to him, in all honesty. It doesn't really make any difference to what's really important to him. Man, when I think about it like that, I was actually probably root for Khabib. I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't believe it. But it wouldn't be because I like either of them better than the other one. It's just, I don't like when you frame it like that, I don't see how you could root against Khabib, to be honest. Anyway, that's probably another video, actually. I'll do another video for that. But anyway, so look, bottom line is this. Ali wants to make the fight, right? Ali's going to know what Khabib's stance is, right? Sorry, let me rewind. Ali is a really good dude, okay? Anybody who is a Conor fan and thinks Ali's like just some kind of like shit stirrer, whatever, I challenge you to go watch some of the behind the scenes videos of Ali and the rest of his team, and some of the guys, the guys from the Middle East and Eastern Europe, and then also he has a bunch of American fighters like Gaethje and Usman and Triple C, all those guys. Like, he really genuinely tries to build Dominance MMA into like a family, like where where all the guys have good relationships, they use collective bargaining, and he really loves these guys. Like, he really does. It's genuine. I can always tell when people are being genuine. It's genuine. He really does genuinely love these guys. He has them all over his house. He's a good dude, man. He really is. Anyway, but the point I'm trying to make is he's going to know what Khabib's stance is. He's going to know why Khabib won't fight Conor. And he's going to go to Dana and he's going to go, listen, there's no way Khabib's going to take that fight if Conor's going to talk shit again. Okay, if there's any chance of me getting this done and getting Khabib to agree, then what's going to need to happen is Conor's going to need to contractually agree to not say anything about Islam, not say anything about Dagestan, not say anything negative about Khabib's family, nothing. Like, nothing like that. Like, Khabib won't have it. He won't have it. He won't have it. He won't have it. And Dana is going to go to Conor, and he's going to pose that to him, and Conor's going to go, fine. He'll instantly agree to that. Because Conor, again, one of the reasons why I love Conor is because he's in the fight all the time. Literally all the time. He's thinking strategy all the time, right? Where most guys are not doing that at all. They're training and then they're thinking about, okay, once I get in there, I'm going to do. Like, Conor is psychologically fighting with these guys 100% of the time. That's another reason why it's so impressive what Khabib did, because Conor went all in. I mean, he put more pressure on Khabib than anybody could possibly do, and it just didn't affect him at all. As a matter of fact, it worked inverse to how Conor designed it to. It made Khabib more focused. It made him more dangerous, and it made him more ruthless and vicious. It didn't distract him. It had the exact opposite effect. And so Conor already knows that game's not going to work anyway. He's not doing it. But that's the other thing. The thing that I get frustrated about, especially with my viewers on this channel, because I know there are a lot of Khabib fans, and I'm speaking directly to you guys right now. I love all you guys. I love you guys, man. I can't tell you how like grateful and flattered I feel when Muslim guys comment that I have represented their faith well when I talk on the channel. Like, this shit matters to me. I'm being totally genuine with you guys. Like, this shit really matters. Like, I every time I get a comment like that, I'm like it makes me feel really good, because there's just too much just nastiness in the world, man. And I realize, like, me saying something like that, given my propensity to talk shit, but I'm doing it like in jest. Like, anybody who can take a joke can tell I'm joking when I talk shit. I think it's funny, right? Like, I'm not trying to actually press people's buttons. And the idea that anybody looks at any group of people and has I don't know, they think they just know shit about them just because they're in this group, as if it's just ridiculous to me, honestly. And and I'm talking anybody in the United States. Oh, white men, patriarch. I'm like, shut the fuck up. And same thing where they're like, oh, well, a Muslim guy's going to do that. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You don't know anything about them, and it applies across the board. That is a principle of mine, right? And but when you guys look at Conor, I understand what you see. You see this guy who's completely disrespectful of your way of life. I get it. I completely understand. And he was in the build-up for the fight. But what you have to understand is he doesn't actually feel that way. That is not what he really feels. Okay? It's just not, right? Conor is competing. And what he was doing was he was trying to drill into Khabib and put as much pressure as he possibly could. And that's how he chose to do it. Now, I think he was in a bad place in his life. And I think he didn't handle that buildup very well. You could tell something was off with him. Mixed Molly and I have talked about this a bunch. I can't remember if we were talking before the buildup yet. I think we were actually. And we were saying, they're like, man, there's something off about him, man. Either that or we've talked about it since, but we both agreed there was something up with Conor in the buildup, and maybe it was booze or whatever. But I don't agree with how he handled it. I just think it was tactless and ugly. I think that he had just fought Mayweather. He all of a sudden is the biggest star in the world, and he just lost his goddamn mind. But he didn't mean it. He really didn't. He's competing. He's trying to get in Khabib's head. Plain and simple. He's trying to drill into everything that he loves to try to win the fight. And you can judge that. You can say that's ugly. It's a shitty way to approach a sport. It's not sportsmanlike. It's fucked up. And I'm not going to argue with you. That's everybody's opinion, right? And I actually agree in that case. But he doesn't mean it. Your hate for the guy is it's misplaced, man. He doesn't really. Actually, you know what? I take that back. It's probably fun for you guys to hate him, right? So, keep it on. I mean, it's the spectacle, like we talked about. Having a villain is awesome. So you should love him for that. You should love him because he's the absolute perfect villain for Khabib. I mean, look at I think, anyway, let me just finish that thought. So I think Khabib will agree to the fight knowing that Conor won't talk shit. Okay. So I think that's how it's going to happen. I think Conor's going to run through Dustin, and then immediately that fight's going to be in the works, right? And Ali is going to go to Dana, and he's and all that's going to happen, and the fight's going to get made. That's what I think is going to happen. But Mixed Molly is correct about that. I really do actually believe he is correct. That absent that, he won't do it. He won't do it without knowledge that he won't talk shit. Anyway, but yeah, man, having a villain is awesome. It's awesome. So I can't even if you haven't ever watched Mixed Molly's Fire and Ice, go watch Mixed Molly Whoppery, Fire and Ice, then watch Mixed Molly Culture Clash. And man, and on Culture Clash, suck it up through the first 6 minutes. The first 6 minutes is basis that you need. Okay, you're gonna kind of be like, all right, because Khabib's not in it, Conor's not in it. It's all about Dagestan. Trust me, the juice is worth the squeeze because it really frames where Khabib comes from. And so when you look at it like that and you start to understand what Conor looks like to them, right? What he looks like to them, it's you couldn't paint a better villain if you were creating him out of thin air. He is, it's as if, it's as if they asked for, the perfect villain and the perfect hero to crush that villain. And that's what they got. I mean, honestly, so in that case, you should be grateful for all of it. It's amazing, dude, honestly. It's amazing. Everything about Western culture that they don't like, Conor is like this gigantic blaring billboard of all of it. Shallow, womanizer, not focused on, the way they see him, not should be focused on his family, not out fucking around with other women, drinking, flashy and flamboyant, loud, disrespectful, not Spartan, quiet, don't try to stand out, home life with your wife, conservative, Conor is the antithesis of their way of life. It really, you couldn't paint it better if you tried, which is why Mixed Molly puts so much, it's put so much together in these documentaries. They're so good. If you haven't watched, they're so fucking good. Fire and Ice, and then Culture Clash, Mixed Molly. I highly, highly encourage it. Anyway, that is what I've got. So subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, tell your friends,